I'm Ron Dunker, head of business development here at Oaken, and thank you so much for calling in and listening to this webinar. I hope everybody can see this okay. And welcome to the Farmland Trust Management webinar. We were a sponsor at this year's Iowa Ag conference, Bankers Conference up in Ames, and it was great to meet many of you. And I just thought we'd do a follow-up discussion here on how Oaken is helping the farmland trust management business. And so with that, I'm going to just kick it off. We're going to keep it real short. We're going to go about 30 minutes. And I'm also recording this so you can view it at a later date. And so, one of the things that I took away from, I was at the Kansas Ag Bankers Conference and the Iowa Ag Bankers Conference, is something that David Cole said. He was a speaker at both of those conferences. And what he said is the next decade will separate the banks that get better from those that lose their rural portfolios. And I got to thinking about that and our technology and how what we're seeing in other industries as well as the banking industries that are using Oaken, how this is helping. And our whole intent here is just to share a little bit about what we're seeing in the industry and then how our technology can help kind of fill some of those gaps that you may have be experiencing in your own industry and at your own bank. So with that, I'm Ron Dunker. I'm here in central Iowa, just above Des Moines, and I'm going to jump right into it. Lee? So, if you need to get a hold of me or you want more information about our website, we're at oaken.ag. My email is on here as well, so you can reach out to me if you have more questions. We're not going to do a personal demo today because it kind of switches back and forth and it just gets confusing. But I've got some screenshots in here to share and share that with you. So at Oaken, we're a company that came out of ag. We came out of Purdue University, their Ag Innovations Group, and so we're blessed to be backed by some of the leading industry leaders in agriculture, and we've been a company for right at 3 years, and we're processing over 3,000 contracts right now. So we're managing 3,000 contracts across North America, across the ag industry. And then we're also managing about $300 million in payments for those particular entities that are using our technology and tens of thousands of workflows. And I'll share a little bit about what that means. But yeah, we're from Purdue. Our executive team here that you see on the right-hand side, we've got over 70 years of experience in different industries. I bring over 30 plus years of experience in ag, and our founder brings over 25 years in bank financials. And then our chief technical officer there on the very right has over almost 30 years in building platforms that SaaS platforms that Oaken is built on. We've got great customers, ag investors, investment companies, growers, farm managers. Our technology reaches across industry to include and banks as well. So we are helping with the lease management processes, the payment processes, the connectivity to those beneficiaries that you're working with on those trusses, those and your tenant relationships that you have, and I'll share a little bit more about that. We are a cloud-based platform. We have bank level security on across our platform. We have mapping functionality, DocuSign functionality, and it is mobile. So our platform is very robust, and like I mentioned earlier, is being used across industry. And if you have questions, please just put them in the chat and I'll try to watch that and get that answered for you. So, let's talk about how banks are managing things today, right? And so, with that, we are seeing, from a lease management standpoint, things are being done through files, Excel, maybe Dropbox, just kind of different ways that they're doing that. And, root and how these are being renewed is, pretty manual. And so our technology can certainly help with that. Tenant communications, as we continue to work, as you continue to work across and land ownership evolves, we're looking at about a $3 trillion industry from land assets, and we're seeing a large group or a large amount of land that is transitioning to new land ownerships as well. And so, how at your bank are you going to handle that? And so, with that, you've got to have a good tenant communication. You've got to have good communication with your beneficiaries. Show how your rents are being collected, and the distributions of all of that is critical as well. And any regulatory compliance, our platform, I'll show you how that does it as well, but it helps you from a regulatory compliance on who you're talking to. And then the ability to communicate, like I said, not only with the tenants you may be working with on that farm or the farm management firms that you may be working with on that trusted land, but also the beneficiaries. Okay. And you can always come off of mute if you have questions. So, what's the challenge of the current, marketplace for the banking industry? It's not just the banking industry. It is also the entire ag industry. Again, we are an ag platform built for ag, built for contract lease management. The records are fragmented, right? So lease documents here, maybe in one spot, payments and payment methods are in another, other parcel data, insurance data, all that information is fragmented and in different areas. And so what does that mean? Well, that means it takes time and more of your time, more of the bank's time to find that documentation. What we're seeing across industry, the banking industry, is a lot of these rent calculations are manual processes. Lease renewals are manual processes. Any type of compliance documentation is also a manual process, and that's huge, right? When you're doing manual processes and you don't have management systems that will help you so that you don't miss those important record keeping processes or those renewal processes, there's a risk. And so that risk can mean, loss of trust. It could be loss of business. It could be inconsistent documentation. And just complete, lack of lease management across your platform. So, and that too can lead to inconsistent documentation. Others, individuals that, may be using different types of formats, signatures may be missed, all that kind of inconsistency. These are the challenges that we're seeing in the banking industry when you start thinking about trust land management. Any questions on that so far? Um, So let's move on. I don't see any, so let's move on. So what would Oaken do to help you? So we provide a digital record of all of your leases, of all of your payments, of all of your communications in one platform. So it eliminates that fragmentation, and it creates a single source that your entire trust department can look at and see everything that's going on that particular trust. We automate the lease payments. We automate the lease renewal processes, whether it be whatever type of a lease it is, if it's cash rent, if it's a custom lease, whatever that is, our technology will do all the calculations for you, the bonus payments, all of those things. And then on the top of that, you can kind of check out what the distribution schedules are and run those automatically. So it really frees you up and provides a higher level of value across your entire workflow to include not only the beneficiaries you're working with, but also could be some tenants you're working with or whoever is managing that ground on behalf of your trust department. You can create a really unique experience for them. So again, so beneficiaries, you may have a system or you may be sending things out to your beneficiaries via mail, email, maybe some other methods. what you can do in the Oaken system is you can create a beneficiaries portal for them to see everything that you're doing from a trust management standpoint. And you can share that with one, you can share that with, you know, 10 people if you want to. So we have that. And fiduciary risks, right? Having a standard localized place for all this information to include insurance information, tax information, FSA documentation, whatever you're managing for that trust on that parcel of land can be put in one spot, which standardizes that documentation centralized location area. You can do audits on that documentation and it automates it. So really, our Oaken system really allows you to build in that efficiency, kind of what Dr. Cole was talking about. It allows you to have that visibility and really change the way many of the trust departments that we're seeing that we're have the privilege of working with are really able to digitize that, right? So digitizing all the records, digitizing the lease renewal process, digitizing the payments, calculating those payments. Our Oaken platform does that, right? So really improves not only your communications and your I guess your service, your bank service to those individuals you're working with in that trust, but also if you are working with tenants, other individuals, FSA offices, other financial institutions, you can have then that central source where you're sharing information, sending it off for electronic signature through the Oaken system. So it basically takes all those fragmented pieces, like I talked about earlier, and puts it all into one place that one individual can work on just those trusts that they are responsible for, or as a bank across maybe a whole state or a whole franchise can look at and see how many trusts they have and see all that information in one spot. So not only does it help at the local level, it helps at that corporate or that headquarters level for you to see what is going on in your trusts and in your trust departments. Okay. So with that, any questions so far? Let me check the chat. I don't see any in the chat, so I will carry on here. So I'm going to just jump into some screenshots here. And again, I would love for you, I would love, here's what we like to do at Oaken. We like to learn about your department, your trust department, how you're doing things today, what you would like to have, because we can do a lot of customization. We've done a lot of customization for trust departments in the banks. And if you have a farm management division, I didn't really even talk about that. But we have we work with a lot of farm management firms across North America as well. So we can certainly help you out if you have a farm management division. What I like to talk about is these are just screenshots, but really as we sit down and talk and learn about what you're doing and what values and efficiencies you're looking for, it really becomes clear as you go through a demo. So you can schedule a demo with us at oaken.ag, or again, reach out to my email and which I've shared on this and reach out to me and I'll set something up for us, make it easy, right? But this is a dashboard display where you can instantly see, keep track of what upcoming tasks, what things you have to include your leases that are coming up, your payments that may need to go out. Our system automatically does all that for you. It has an active live calendar so that you can see, also click into the calendar and see what's going on. There's an active notes part of this dashboard that you can quickly say, I talked to Ron and he needs me to send this documentation to him. And you can add that and it says he needs it in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. That there's a workflow tracking system inside of Oaken as well. Again, you can see what lease renewals are coming up immediately, what upcoming payments, and then it keeps track of all the documentations and what's been put into the Oaken system. Another nice feature off the dashboard up there where the number 6 is, not only is there notifications and you can click into that, but you can also do a search and let's say I'm looking for trust document that starts with ADA, right? And you're like, okay, I know it starts with that. You could, our system, once you do a search, it looks through not only all the relationships you or individuals that you have that, ADA, that three syllables, but any trusts that you have, any documents that you have. We look in the file type and the document itself so you can find things very quickly in our system. Okay. So next up, we're going to jump into the land partner details. And what that means is this could be your beneficiaries who you're managing for your trust would you would see this. So we keep track of all of those beneficiaries to include their tax information, their emails, all that information is in there. Dates you've started your relationship with it, even birthdays and those sort of things. That keeps track of it in our system. And right away here, you can see a couple things, how many beneficiaries you're working with, how many different relationships you had. Again, in Oaken, you can keep track of not only all your beneficiaries, not only all of your potential tenants or land management partners that you're working with to manage that land, but you could also, and all of their information, but you can also see, you can put in here individuals that you may be working at other financial institutions, insurance folks, compliance individuals that you may be working with. All that can be built into the Oaken system. And what does that look like? Let me show you what that looks like. Um, so how we track, so we track everything through the trust and the lease associated with that, or the land associated with that trust. And we basically track everything through a family tree structure. Lots of different, let's say, other CRMs. None of them are ag centric like us, where we're tracking all, where we can do all the leases and how we track it. But we are organizing your contact info, contact individuals, whether it be tenant or beneficiaries or all that. You can see it in a family structure. And why is that important? Well, it's important in the fact that that's how our minds think, and we can include not only those individuals that are a part of that trust, but you can also put in like lawyers that are associated with that trust. Obviously, you can put your information in there as well, but anybody that is associated with that trust can be added. It's very highly customizable, and put it in a family tree structure. And from there, you can see all the communication history you have. Excuse me. And what does that mean? So, like, if you have multiple people working in that trust and being able to see who did what in there. So, who maybe did an update on a contact, who maybe did an update on a lease of that trust, whoever that may be, you can see that individual. So, from a compliance standpoint, tracking standpoint, that can be monitored very quickly and easily, and you can see all the payment history and basically what makes our, we talked about that fragmentation earlier, but what makes Oaken so unique in the fact is not only does we're the only ones in the industry capturing this kind of land data, which, if you, as I think about it from a trust perspective, if you've got all of your trustees and all the land information in here and the rents that are paid, you're going to have a nice snapshot of data to be able to say, okay, who's paying what for rents and that, and how you can track that. And so that's kind of important that you be able to see that data and kind of also use that data to make sure that you're providing the highest level of service to your beneficiaries of those trusts, right? So again, not only can you take all that fragmented data and put it into one spot and put it into an area, but you can share that information as well. And what does that look like? It kind of looks like what we got here. Let me just scroll this down a little bit. So all of your trust, you would be able to see all of your trust and the leases associated with that trust in one spot. So right now you may be going to a Excel file, you may be going to a filing cabinet and trying to find this information. Well, right, you can your entire banking operation can look in here and see all the information of the trust or of the leases and what kind of leases they are, how many acres are in those leases. Our system tracks all of that for you, and so it'll tell you what's coming up for renew, like we saw earlier. It'll also tell you a lot of tillable information associated with that. And so it's a really nice spot. And so no longer will you have to go through filing cabinets or an Excel spreadsheet and try to figure that out. You can actually see all where all of your leases are or all of your trust leases are in your geographic region. Or you can also, we're also have a mapping function now that will show that where all those leases are with mapping functionality. I don't know if I mentioned it on the very beginning slide, but we integrate with different mapping platforms, and as well as you can put shape files in there and whatnot. So you can see exactly where all of your leases are that you're managing for your bank in that trust. Very helpful in regards to that. Again, it's probably a little bit overwhelming right now in the fact what we're going through, but I can tell you right now that if we sat down for 30 minutes on a demo, you would see all that information. Now, let's go into the lease details. You can see all the lease details to include how many leases you're managing. You can, like I said, track all of your lease information to include um, uh, any type of insurance information that you may be managing on that lease, any type of compliance information you may be managing on that particular trust and that lease can be put into one place. So no more going through different, areas of the bank to find that information. You can put all that in there. Again, I mentioned that we have bank level security so that you can feel confident that the information that you put in here is yours. Again, this is a good spot for me to stop and say we don't do lease negotiations. This is a pure management platform for your trust department or your bank. If they're doing also farm management, they both complement each other very well. And so that you can see all this information in one spot, right? We're even employees that you may have, they're probably going to be less likely to go out and look in a filing cabinet or look across different, aspects in your computer or their computer to find this information. So they can find it not only in this cloud-based platform, they could be working from home to find all this information, but we also have it mobilely as well on the phone. So this is an important aspect that you can see and know that this is it also builds in that kind of efficiency. So let's move on to the next one. I'm going to jump ahead here and go into task management. So, I'm going to go back. Um, so not only do we keep track of all the leases, but we also keep track of tasks. So if you have specific tasks that need done around those uh, leases that are the trust and the leases that you're managing in those trusts, not only will those come up, the renewals and the payments and all of those, but you can also have maybe you have specific tasks or specific compliance tasks. Well, you can put that in our system, and those individuals that are managing in the trust department will know that, hey, this action needs done. Maybe it's a compliance action, maybe it's a sustainability action, maybe it's a tax action for that particular trust and that lease. So it'll give them email reminders. So not only I didn't mention this, but not only do you get email reminders for this, uh, you get email reminders with Oaken, but you also get text reminders as well if you want. And also you can find that information out on your phone. So it has a nice workflow and compliance that you can put in for your trust department. Again, no one in the industry is doing this level of detail. Okay. Payments. Payments are the next thing that we do really well. So not only do we figure all of the payments and calculate those, like I said, I mentioned we can do simple cash rents, no problem, all the way up to highly customizable different types of leases. We're doing solar leases, we're doing barn leases, we're doing all different kinds of leases from a customizable perspective. But not only does it track all of the payments that were made, it keeps track of also the expenses and the payments as well. So a highly functioning payments area. You can break out payments. Maybe you have multiple entities or multiple beneficiaries that you have to make payments to. Oaken will break those out and the percentages that need to go or dollar amounts that need to go to those individuals. Very easy to implement these systems. And a lot of times people ask me, and we've had banks ask us, "Oh, well, can we tie it into our other management systems?" Absolutely, 100%. We can open up our APIs and talk to the different payment systems that you have in your bank. We have done that, and we would be willing to do that. Take a look at that for your bank as well. So moving on here. So again, this is just another screen keeping track of payments, and what needs paid out. Reconciling is very easy. We currently reconcile with a different types of financial platforms, and this can be reconciled also with your particular management system that you're using as well. So like I said, not only is it highly customizable from what you're seeing here today, but it is also really complementary to a lot of different financial platforms that are out there. Okay, almost done here. So this is really a neat aspect in the fact that it allows you to create a unique experience. And so not only does our system track and make sure that leases aren't missed, payments aren't missed, it tracks workflows so that workflows get done across your bank. But on the back end of things, we have we call it a land asset portal or an asset portal that you can share all this information with your beneficiary. You can share information like this with tenants that you may work with. All that information can be shared so easy and seamlessly. How's it shared today? Again, fractionalized. You're sharing it either via mail, you're hand delivering it, you're sending it through maybe an email, some form of email. What our portal does is your bank creates access to this portal, this asset portal, and you can share the lease documentation, you can share your payment sequences, you can share uh, other documentations to include yield reports, soil samples, tax information. All that information can be shared in there to include, again, your tenants that you may be working with that are managing this lease or this land for your trust. You're also your beneficiaries. You can create this type of an experience, digital experience. Basically, that's what we're doing with this system is the Oaken management system is creating a digital experience that's unparalleled in the industry. So you can take that and share this asset portal with those individuals. And to include, it would have your own banking logos on it. It looks like I mean, this is just an operating system for your bank management system. You would see all your personal logos and all that information on this land asset portal. Okay. So this is just a screen that shows you how to control the different notifications and the customizable effects or customizability of the Oaken system. So like I said, it's very adaptable to what you have today. It improves from an efficiency what you have today if you're doing this, through files and tracking and all those other methods. This certainly brings all that together in one place, so you can see the leases, the payments, the documentation, who the people are or who the people you are from the trust department you're working with, to include the beneficiaries, the tenants and all those individuals in one spot. It really takes that to the next level. That's all I have. I wanted to keep this short, and I wanted to be sensitive to your busy day. And I'm so thankful that you listened here and called in or and participated in this free webinar. Again, I'm Ron Dunker. There's my email at the bottom. Please reach out and get a hold of me. If you want to see more information or would like to schedule a demo, reach out to me. Make it easy. I'll help and we'll do it. Because going through this, if you think to yourself, there has to be a better way for us to do this as a trust department or as a farm management department in your bank, at least it's worth 30 minutes of your time to take a look at what we're doing at Oaken. Again, we are the only ones in the industry that are managing lands and land information digitally like this. Again, we're out of Purdue University, so they're very well. They're our largest investor in our company. We've been at this for quite a while now, and it's been just a fantastic technology to see how it really helps in efficiency. It's also helping from an ROI perspective as well. Less individuals needed to be able to manage all that paperwork. We've seen that in our industry, and it just provides a higher level of customer service to those entities, whether they be the beneficiaries, the tenants you're working with, other people that you are working with in your trust departments or your farm management departments to create a completely unique experience that no other bank is doing. And back to what Dr. Cole said around, you know, improving and how you do that and what you need to do to become not only improve, become more efficient and be relevant as your bank continues to evolve and service and provide a high level of service to those customers that I know are extremely valued to you. So with that, thank you so much for your time today.